What's up, friends? I'm your host, Amanda Smith, and welcome to the Girl Gang Podcast, the show where I chat with inspiring women about business, life's challenges, and building community, because we all need it. If you need a girl gang, this podcast is for you. Welcome to another episode in our series of Amanda School. It's the weirdest name ever. Here's what we're going to talk about today. How to leave your full-time job and go full-time in your business. Or going from side hustle to CEO, as Dr. Courtney Baker would say. Or taking the leap, as some people would say. There's so many ways people say this. It almost sounds like a euphemism for something. It's not. Let's chat about it. I get this question a lot because people know I, within the last year, left my full-time teaching job to run Dallas Girl Gang and my coaching business full-time. This is not easy. It's just not. It's just not as easy as people think. Also, disclaimer, I do not walk around like some people and tell people, just quit your day job. Just do it. It'll be fine. Like, everything will work out. I used to think that that was the case, and that's what people were doing. But guess what? That is not what people are doing. People are being strategic and smart and safe. But also in business, we can't always be 100% safe. We'll talk about that. Here is what I did. Okay. And let me just tell you, here's what I would recommend. And again, this is my personal experience. This is some of the things that I believe to be true. If you're currently in a full-time job and you're running a business, you have to get your hands dirty and look at your freaking numbers. Pull up your QuickBooks. Open your business bank account. And if I just said those two things and you're like, I don't have either of those, you need to stop listening to this episode and go get them right now. Go get a freaking business banking account, because that's what you need. You're going to need it for taxes. You're just going to need it, period. And if you do not have a system to look at your numbers like QuickBooks or something else, you need to stop again and go do that right now. It's time to level up, okay? We're getting serious. We're putting on our big girl panties. This is how people run a business. You have to know your numbers. You cannot just go week after week without looking at your bank account because you don't want to, because it might be hard to look at. If you don't know the true financial health of your business and you just make decisions or make the decision to leave your job, you might be back looking for a job in 6 months. And I'm saying all this and I sound really strong about it because I feel strongly about it. You have to know your numbers, okay? So, pull a profit and loss statement. How much have you been spending? How much have you been actually profiting? What's your net profit look like, right? If your expenses are 50, 60, 70% of what you're bringing in, that is a big red flag. And again, here, I'm going to give another disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I am not an accountant. I'm giving experience and advice from my personal experience and what I believe to be true. Okay. If your expenses are just too high and you're not even keeping enough to eventually look at paying yourself in the business, you are not ready to leave your day job. Unless you have multiple sources of income in your household. So here are some simple things that you need to consider before you leave your full-time job. Because listen, it is 100% doable, right? And I did it the long way and the safest way possible because also it was the start of the pandemic and my husband and I we're going to buy a house. And also my husband was a self-employed business owner at the beginning of 2020, and he basically lost all of his business and had to switch careers, and he actually became a teacher as I was leaving the profession. So, number one, save your freaking money. Hear me say this. If you are in the first 1, 2, 3 years of your business, you do not need, the first things that you spend money on do not need to be fancy stuff for clients, a $5,000 website, and packaging and, cute branded stuff. No. I see this so much. And here's what I will say. I'm taking a sip of my coffee. I've talked to like website and graphic designer friends of mine, and I say, how do you feel about this question? People ask if they're starting a business and all they have is $3,000. Do you recommend them spending it on a website? They actually say, or the friends that I've talked about, they're like, oh, no. Because guess what? You probably don't have your brand, vision, mission, systems, products, services. You don't have those down like the back of your hand yet. But when you do, and when you see in your books that you are consistently profitable, okay, let's start looking at saving and having a date in mind to do that website design, to do that photography branding session, or, whatever you might be thinking about spending your next money on. Number 2, in saving your money, save your money to invest in what's going to help you get set up for success. So maybe to you, you've had your eye on a course that someone is selling, and you're like, you know what? I love courses. I'm going to do this whole course, and I want to learn from this person, and it's $1,000 or it's $1,900 or something. Awesome. Save your money and then have a goal to do that and execute that, because if you invest in a course or a program or coaching or whatever, that is what's going to help you set up your business for success in the future, for profitability, the structure, your time, operations, how you're, the quality of service you're delivering to people, and just how to run a business in general. I would highly consider investing your money first into a course or a coach or some kind of business education or development first. Okay. There are a couple of purchases I made early on that definitely could have waited, right? In hindsight, I wish, and everybody I know that has invested in coaching or some kind of program or course wishes they would have done it sooner. I wish I would have found my business coach and mentor sooner. It is what it is, and I'm so glad I did, and I wouldn't change it. But how much farther along would I be? And that you can think about this question for yourself. How much farther along would you be if you had just kind of bitten the bullet and spent the $2,000, $3,000 and done payment installments to learn how to set up your business well and market well and sell well and deliver product well and services well and become more profitable so that you could leave your job, so that you can do that website, do that photo shoot, buy that stuff, buy gifts for clients, design your office, whatever. The fun stuff that you see. How much farther would you be? Every client that I bring on as a coaching client says that to me. They say, I wish I would have done this sooner, and this is the best money I've ever spent in my business. And I'm not just saying that to get people to coach with me. Not everybody needs to coach with me. I'm not for everybody. And I definitely know that. There's dozens, hundreds, thousands of coaches out there. But that is what I'm hearing from my clients. So save your money. Number 2, have a plan. Have a timeline. For me, in 2019, when things started getting crazy and Dallas Girl Gang was so successful, and then I started having people asking me about coaching, I was like, okay, I now know, and I had this gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, I know I need an exit strategy because I love how my business is going. It is only going up from here, but I need a plan. I need a strategy for what does the next 6 months, year and a half, whatever it was, look like for me, because logistically, you can't work a full-time job and a full-time business unless you scale your business such that you have people on your team and you personally know that you can balance both. Because hear me say this too, it is definitely doable. I have several clients that still have a full-time job, but their business is also a 5 or 6 figure business. So they've got like 2 jobs, 2 incomes. So it's doable. It's just different. Have a plan. Talk to your family, your significant other, your spouse, whoever it might be in your life that you need to communicate to. Have a plan and a timeline and goals for yourself, right? If you are not quite as profitable as you want to be yet, how are you going to get to where you want to be by the time you want to quit, right? Communicate with everybody who it really matters to in your life. So for me, it was my husband, right? He was working a job. I was working a job, but I was working a job and another job. And I had to communicate consistently. Hey, here's where the business is going. You know, I have X amount of dollars secured in sales. I have this much money in savings. This is how much we're bringing in every month right now. Kind of giving them an update. And also at the forefront, I had to sit down and communicate to him, hey, here's why this means so much to me and why I know this is a real business. This is going to go full time. And here's where my heart and soul is in this whole process. That was a huge missing piece for a long time because I was just blowing and going and expecting him to see that it was great or that it like see all the things I was seeing in my head. That doesn't happen, you know. Men can't already read our minds as it is. So once I communicated to him, hey, here's what I want to do. What do you think? And are you on board? And what do you think we can do? How do you think we can make it work? I knew I could execute my plan of leaving, you know, XYZ time. My next point is save some more money. When you think you're doing a lot of saving, save more. In a world where things are so unpredictable, you have no idea what's going to happen. And once you quit your job, like you're going to lose insurance. You're going to lose retirement, or you're going to have whatever you accrued in that job. But you now have to earn way more in gross revenue than just your monthly paycheck. So if you're currently making a $3,000 paycheck a month, when you step away and you're going to go work for yourself, that really needs to be like a $5,000 paycheck, a $6,000 paycheck a month in gross revenue, because you have to pay your taxes quarterly. You have to potentially pay, employees or assistants or virtual assistants. You know, you're taking out X amount for yourself to pay yourself. You're putting X amount of dollars into savings and then some into retirement. So before you know it, that $6,000, after you pay all those things out, you got $500 left. So when I talk about numbers and money with my clients, I say always be conservative. Like if you think you need 5,000, let's assume you need 7. You know, if you think you need $600 for this thing, let's assume you need 1,000. Always giving yourself cushion. And then on the back end, that plays into how are you selling? How are you getting leads? How are you getting more clients, more cash? into the business. And then my last point was insurance and retirement. So you're going to have to find insurance, possibly, after you leave that job. If you are leaving a corporate job or something, they can offer COBRA. It's expensive, but it's something. How are you going to later on put in, are you going to open an IRA account to put into retirement for yourself? What are your plans, right? Because now you're your own company. You don't work for anybody else anymore. You got to create all this stuff yourself. So this is like a really in-depth overview of exit strategy from going from your full-time job to full-time business. If this was helpful, I want to hear your thoughts and feelings about this in my Instagram inbox. So go ahead and send me a DM at Amanda's in Dallas. I would love to hear your thoughts, questions. I only have 2 spots for one-on-one coaching here in May. So if you are interested in that, you can DM me the word coaching, or you can DM me the word one-on-one coaching, I should say. And then I'll send you the application and we can get rolling. Thanks for listening to this mini-sode in our series of Amanda School. I love doing these solo episodes, giving you guys the answers and the value of the most frequently asked questions. So if you have other questions you're constantly wondering about, send them into my Instagram DMs, or you can email them to me at amanda@dallasgrowing.com, and I would love to answer them on the air, if you will. And we would love to do it that way. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like, review, share this with a friend, tag us on Instagram if you're listening to this episode, and we'll see you next time.